What's going on, everyone? This is Matt, SqueakyClean Air. Today, something new. We are going to be working on a 2022 BMW M4 competition. We're going to be banging it up. Stay tuned. All right, so here it is, the BMW M4 2022. I think it's about 3 weeks old. I'm kind of excited to be doing air suspension on this thing. These models come with adaptive shock technology. Obviously, we're going to be removing the suspension, and we're going to be putting in a SqueakyClean air setup. So this thing is going to be going down on the ground. From initial look at the suspension, it seems very similar to the previous models. I don't think they've really modified it very much. The upper mounts on the front shocks are slightly a little bit different. It's a square upper mount as opposed to a rounded upper mount with multiple studs. So I'll be showing you guys the process on how I bag this thing, and I can't wait to see it on the ground. Stay tuned. Okay, so removing the front shocks of the M4 2022 M4. Oh boy, pain in the ass. So first, you guys got to remove the top covers with clips. So that should be a very easy thing to do. Then what you guys are going to do is you guys are going to remove the damper adjuster, which is connected over here. And you remove it from the top of the actual shock. Once you've removed that, this is where the fun begins. So essentially what you guys have to do is you guys have to separate the shock and leave the upper mount up here. And then you'll be able to take the assembly with the spring. It's not under a lot of load, actually. The spring is not under a lot of load, so you guys don't need a spring compressor to compress the spring. But what you guys are going to do, once you've removed everything and you've exposed the strut, you guys are going to put something underneath here so the whole spindle and assembly doesn't drop. Obviously, remove all the, from the bracket over here, make sure it's loose like I did over here. Make sure that this is separated and it's off. Make sure these are removed so there's no tagging. Obviously, this is the dampness adjustability connector, so that's going to be hid away because we're going to get that programmed out eventually, and we're going to just zip tie it and put it into here. But you guys have to remove all that. Essentially, what you guys have to do is once it's in this state, I have it on the other side because I haven't removed it. And here's the upper mount. So the upper mount is still connected here. The dampness is popped off. The dampness sensor is popped off, which I have over here. Once you guys disconnect it and everything, you guys are able to pop this off from the top of the shock. And it just goes, I can actually show you because I removed one. This literally just clicks or just goes inside there, because essentially what this dampness adjustability is just a motor. It's a controlled motor which spins the inner sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a little wire in there. As it tightens it up, it makes it harder. If it loosens it up, it makes it softer. So that's how it's able to do it. It's basically like the EDFC system that Teen had back in the day. If you guys want to learn a bit more, that's pretty much what it is based off of, and vice versa. And then this just pops into here. So once you guys remove that and store it in a safe place, obviously, because this is a $100,000 car, then what you guys are going to do is once this whole assembly is supported, in this case, I'm on a hoist, so it doesn't really matter that much. So if this basically just drops, it'll drop down, so it's okay. But if you guys are on the ground, you don't want it to hit the ground, so you need to support it. This is it right here. What you guys are going to do is you guys are going to remove this 19 mil, and what that will do is we'll basically separate the shock and the spring while leaving the upper mount in here, and it will allow you to lower everything down. But then what you guys are going to do is once this whole thing is lowered down, and I'll demonstrate on the next video, you guys have to put in the famous German Strut Spreaders. You need to get two. I used a 1/4 inch ratchet or wrench, ratchet, and then a German spreader because there's two of these guys, and basically split this so you guys are able to wiggle it all out. And because you guys don't have the overhead of the upper mount, which is about this thick, that should allow you to wiggle out the shock with the spring out very, 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 very close to what the shaft is, and you'll be able to sort of slide it out. So it's very, very, it's a toughie. It's pretty tough when you're going from stock to coilover, or when you're going from stock to a spring, or you're doing a spring replacement, right? But essentially what happens is this whole assembly is a lot shorter, so it's easier to pop out. But when you're going from stock to any kind of suspension, it's always a pain in the ass. So the best trick that I found is by basically separating this whole setup, keeping the upper mount in here, and I'll demonstrate in a minute, and then you guys will be able to wiggle it out. So elevate it in the air. The upper mount is left. The center bolt, which is an 18 mil 12-point socket, because it's this kind of a bolt, right? So an 18 mil will work over it. The one that's closest to that. One of these guys, actually, might as well show you guys. While I'm at it, you want to use this socket. Okay. And then what's going to happen is you guys are going to have 18s. And what's going to happen is gently remove it, and that whole assembly with the spring will drop. So this is where we're at right now. As you guys can see, the upper mount's stuck there. So what you want to do is you want to kind of like, this has been I've raised this. It's a little bit higher than I need to. So what I'm going to do is, it's kind of stuck. So I'm going to put in the strut spreaders to bring it down about this much. Bringing it down this much will allow me to safely remove the upper mount. And by removing the upper mount, it'll give me the overhead in order to be able to wiggle out this shock. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically put the strut spreaders, make sure this goes all the way down, remove the upper mount, because really what you're doing in this exercise is you're removing the upper mount so you have the leverage to be able to remove this assembly with the spring out. If you try to remove it like this, good luck to you. It's going to be really, really hard. So it's probably better off just to bring it down to its lowest, because I thought that initially I'll be able to wiggle it out without knowing that this is just a messed up suspension. The lower sort of like yoke that it usually goes into, it's a different style than the older M3s and M4s. It doesn't drop low enough. I'm pretty sure you got to remove like the axle and all that stuff, but we don't have time for that shit. So this is the quickest way to kind of do it for those that don't want to do it, is basically separate the top from this assembly, lower it, and I need to bring it back down because I thought I'll be able to wiggle it out. Bring it back down so it gives you overhead to remove the upper mount. And the upper mount is attached by these Euro things. I believe they're for, I'll check them in a second. And then that will allow you to give you plenty of room to then later insert back the strut spreaders and then wiggle out the shock, like literally right to the top. You'll get right to the edge and you'll be able to pull it out without really putting a lot of stress on this. So it is doable. I thought that by going all the way up, this whole assembly will not come out, but yes, this whole assembly does end up coming out, and we need to make sure that this isn't putting too much strain. So this is going to be okay. When this drops, it doesn't really go that much lower, so we're okay. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you guys when I get to that stage where I'm about to pull out the shock, where literally it is that you pull it out. And we'll go from there, because it's a pain in the ass, but it's doable. We're almost there. We're going to be able to put in the front air struts and call it a day. All right, so one air strut is in. You guys can see how much overhead. Obviously, I need to put the ladder line in there, so it's not in there yet. But you guys can see how much more overhead you guys have compared to the factory, which I'm going to show on the other side, and the coilover or on air strut, right? So because obviously this is going to expand out, right, with air, and it's just a different suspension geometry. But that's kind of cool. So this one is in. A nice little camber over here. Adjustment. This is what I was talking about, guys. Once you've removed the upper mount over here, you let the strut slide, kind of wiggle it around. Let me show you. There is enough room, technically, to wiggle it out to get it to this position. And when you guys can wiggle it out from this position, it's just as simple as pulling it out and taking it out. So it is doable. You just be patient, and it is doable. And as you guys can see, I'm using a strut spreader here, and I'm using a 1/4-inch ratchet here in order to spread the yoke, so I'm able to remove the strut. So that's all there is to it. So as I said, so remove the sway bar end link, remove these brackets that are here. This way, but I think it's just hanging around. Remove these brackets that are here. Loosen up all these so they're not really tagging on anything. It's pretty. It doesn't really pull down that much. This lower assembly. Now keep in mind, M3 might be a little bit different. This is for an M4, so the assembly doesn't really drop that much, but it does give you a wiggle room to remove the strut, provided you remove the upper mount. And as mentioned in the previous video. So that should help you guys out. I'm going to put in the air strut and the fronts are done.